Like, let's talk about money. Let's talk about financial IQ. What are you actually going to do once you get the money? You can spend it, you can invest it, or you can sit on it. When you do all that hustling, when you grind, when you work 9 to 5 or side hustle or whatever it is you got to do, it's important that you understand how to use the money. Investing comes back to you, spending is gone forever, and saving is just sitting underneath of you. There's three key concepts that you need to understand about money. Number one, you need to understand credit and why it's important to have good credit. Number two, you need to understand the difference between an asset and a liability. And then number three, you have to know the difference between equity and cash flow. This is true financial literacy, all right? This is important. If you're going to be a hustler, then you have to learn how to use your money. Credit is important because it doesn't matter how old you are when you're watching this, but sooner or later, one day, you're going to want to buy something really big. You might want to buy a house, you might want to buy a car, you might want to even just rent a condo to live in, okay? In all three of these scenarios, the people who own what you want before you get it are going to ask you, what's your credit history? If I ask you for money every month for the next 25 years, are you going to be able to pay it off? Are you going to be able to come up with the money? Are you going to be good for it? When you hit 18 and you can finally get that credit card, you don't look at that credit card as access to extra money. No. That's how you ruin your credit. That's how you ruin your reputation with the people who lend money. What you do with this credit card is you treat it as a promise. When you actually have funds, you swipe that credit card, you tell them, hold this, I'll be right back with the actual money. And then you pay on time, okay? You don't carry over balances when you don't have to. Pay your credit every month on time. As soon as you get that credit card for the rest of your life, okay? Credit card is not access to more money. A credit card is just you promising up front that you got the funds and then delivering before the deadline and giving the people that you owe money, giving them their money. Over time, what you're going to do is you're going to establish a reputation as somebody who has good credit. And let me tell you this, good credit goes a long way. When you get older and you want to buy a house, you might be at the age right now where you want to get a house. You're not going to be able to get approved for a mortgage with a good rate unless you got good credit. This might not matter to you yet. But if you're thinking long term and if you're hustling, if you're grinding, if you're working towards something, you got to think long term. At all times, you got to think long term. So fix your credit, work on your credit. Assets and liabilities. Now, there's different definitions of assets and liabilities, believe it or not. I like the rich dad, poor dad, Robert Kiyosaki definition. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. And an asset, you guessed it, anything that's going to add funds back into your pocket. Some of your friends are a liability. Some of your friends are an asset. If you have something that is on a regular basis paying you back, when you own something that generates money, like a business or like a rental property that cash flows, or mutual funds that have a return on their investment, stocks, these are assets. Anything that's putting money into your bank account is an asset. And anything that's taking money out of your bank account is a liability. You want to make sure that you're investing in assets. Not every day you can invest in an asset, but when the chance does come, you want to make sure that you do that so that in the long run, you're going to be getting your money back. Here's the last one, and this one is big, all right? Now, this is the difference between equity and cash flow. Some people say, I want to be a millionaire. I want to get $1 million. Now, some people, they don't think about the difference between being equity millionaire and being a liquid cash flow millionaire. Like if you have $1 million liquid, that's a lot different than having $1 million in equity. To have $1 million cash in your bank account is a lot different than having equity of $1 million. So equity is pretty much the worth of the things that you own, but you would have to sell those things in order to get that cash money. Your equity is inside of assets. All right, you can't touch it, you can't spend it. But when you sell that house, when you get those dividends, when the money comes flowing in, when you become liquid, when cash starts moving, that is something you can spend. So the difference between having equity and having cash flow is that cash flow can make moves. Equity grows over time, or equity is stored up inside of your assets. It's great to have equity, and you need to make sure that you're working on growing your equity. But if you want to be able to live a certain lifestyle, you need to make sure you got cash flow. It's a balance of both. Make sure you invest in things that are going to grow your equity, but also make sure you're working on your streams of income, increasing your cash flow. This is knowledge for everybody out there who's saying, I want to hustle, I want to grind, I want to just work, I want to go get it. Well, make sure if you go get it, that you go get it and you understand what to do with it once you get it. Financial IQ, man, this stuff is not for nerds. This is for everybody. Get your money, keep your money.